I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the BWR Renaissance Podcast. Your boy David Bella, 1/4 of the BWR Renaissance. Checking in my co-hosts, fellas. How y'all feeling?
What up? What up? What up? It's your boy Jalen, man. Another quarter of the BWR Renaissance. Feeling good, feeling great, man. Feeling like the holidays and the festive spirit, man. It's good to be home. But hey, we're gonna get this popping.
What's good with everybody? It's your boy Kelly here, checking in. Drove in the other day, kicking it with my boy David. Had a great Christmas. Just glad to be here and have a great podcast, man.
Yes, indeed. I'm glad to be COVID free, man. That's just all my whole thing. I would keep telling y'all, hey, y'all stay safe in these streets. But yeah, y'all, once again, man, we got another great episode planned for y'all today. Before I get into it, before I introduce my brother, I got to do it. I got to ask y'all, can y'all make sure to like, subscribe, rate, comment, give us some feedback. Let us know what you want to listen to. Let us know who you're trying to hear from. Let us know what you want to learn more about.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we're giving y'all the best content possible. So y'all just give us that feedback. We always appreciate it and we love y'all. All right. Now, with that out the way, as I was saying, we got another great episode with another great guest for y'all. On this week's episode, we got our brother. He is a real estate entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, really.
Mm-hmm.
Out there killing it, helping people learn how to invest and showing them. He a published author. Man, my brother really got a lot going on.
Yeah. Got clothing line. Motherfucker rolling out supplements.
Yeah, the supplements, man.
Yeah, man.
I said, oh, man, I gotta get some
damn. But yeah, we got our brother Oge Madu, aka Money Madu. Madu, how you living, bro?
I'm doing pretty well. Excited to be on the podcast. You know, it's about time. Y'all been blowing up on your boys. So.
Oh man, it's long.
It has been long overdue, bro.
So Madu, bro, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on. To get this thing started, we're gonna start how we always do. We just want to ask you, bro, can you get an audience an introduction to yourself and how you found your way into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, for sure. So once again, appreciate being on the podcast. Name is go by Money Madu. Born and raised in Houston, Texas. Pretty much been in Texas all of my life. Went to, I'm a first generation Nigerian American. So my parents came down here in the 1980s. And firstborn. So, already had to force to grow up early. Had to go through the whole deal of, at least with my parents, it was more so education based, everything versus things with sports. So unfortunately, I didn't get to experience, the competitive life as far as going with a team sport deal. But I was able to utilize that into obviously other ways. And obviously I've turned out just fine, but I know that, going out in the future when I do have my own kids, I'll probably can live vicariously through them. But so first generation Nigerian American, went to college in San Antonio, got my electrical engineering degree from the University of Texas at San Antonio. While I was there, and I will get into it deeper, but while I was there, I did an internship at Toyota manufacturing plant. That's where they make all the trucks for Toyota. And that was pretty much when I started investing in the stock market. This was in 2010. And so from there, kind of just saved up $3,000, bought me a mutual fund. It was a Vanguard Wellington fund. And from there, obviously if people understand the timeline, investing anything in 2010, that was the perfect time to get back into the market. So it didn't matter what you put your money in. For the most part, that thing was going up like crazy. So picked the perfect time to kind of get started in investing in the stock market. Didn't put too much, that was a co-op. So, that was a temporary position. So, I put money in there while I was working there, but past that, I didn't really have a job to continuously put money in there. So the thing was, I just continued, I just let the thing ride, and the whole time it continued to go up. So once I graduated from college, I was working out in West Texas as a project engineer, and making decent money doing that. But a year into working was when I ended up purchasing my first real estate property. And that's kind of how I, kind of like fell into this whole deal of, investing in real estate, because 3 months later, after I purchased this home just to live in, I ended up getting a new job where, I'm leaving the city. And luckily, I wasn't going to be able to sell it in, that quick of a time frame. But my boss, his wife was a realtor. She knew someone that was just starting their property management company. She said the house could rent out for X amount. It was more than my what I was, my rent or my mortgage was. So since then, I've been cashing out on it. So that's kind of how I got, kind of like stumbled into that. And from there, was working in the oil industry. Got my MBA in 2017. 2019, I ended up switching over and into a more of a business commercial development role. And from there, I pretty much the week before my birthday, 2019, they ended up letting me go and went full-fledged entrepreneurship from there. And it was crazy because, my whole intent was to kind of like quit February of this year, just because that was my bonus season. I was going to take my bonus and say, all right, cool, I'm good. Because I already made like a thing, a kind of like thing in my head that before 30 or by 30, I have to get out the corporate world and figure this thing out. So, they kind of expedited the timeline by a few months. But overall, like, even though it happened, it was kind of like, it helped me out. They got me, in the sense, they gave me a service package. So I kind of got my bonus early in the sense. And from there, it's been a crazy, crazy road. And obviously I would kind of like discuss more into it, but yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Hey man, that's a damn good start and a wild ride to it, man. And I definitely want to kind of peel back some layers and go take a little bit deeper in there. And I think one of the first things you talked about was just with your upbringing, bro, and like you being a first generation Nigerian. And I kind of want to talk about how was that different versus some of your friends that you kind of like had. How was life a little bit different? Like you said, you didn't get the chance to play sports. So obviously they made you focus more on education. Do you think that kind of gave you more of a competitive edge in the classroom?
No. I think it's just for me. I don't know. I feel like I'm a different breed, right? So education was always going to be important regardless, right? And I just think that going forward, like my dad, he was a middle school math teacher. And so like I was always good with math. But as far as grades goes, I never was like, I would say maybe once I got into middle school, grades wasn't the biggest of priority to me. I was like, I did fairly okay, but nothing to where it's like if it was lower than an A, then you're getting in trouble kind of thing. But I always like to say book and street smart kind of deal. So like I didn't like to study. I don't know, the whole school structure for me that's not how I learned. Everything that you see me do now, everything that you kind of like are seeing now, that's just from my natural curiosity, me learning the stuff, not me having to memorize something from a test. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, obviously my parents were very, very strict. But I feel like it allowed me to, in a sense, kind of learn how to navigate this whole realm of, if I need to get something done, I have to figure out a way. It's not going to be because of my parents. So yeah, I mean, and then on top of that, obviously not really playing sports. I wasn't able to interact as much with kids, like outside of the whole, once school's done, after school programs and stuff like that. But, the closest thing I did with that, I was in a marching band. So I didn't have to, do practice. Because to say, like, for example, in the high school, I didn't go to the school I was zoned to, which was like 5 minutes down the street. I went to the one that was all the way across town, which was considered like a magnet school, right? So my parents would want to drive all the way down there to pick me up to go, it was just a whole ordeal. So the closest thing I did was the marching band. So I was able to, go to all the football games and things of that nature. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, not to say I didn't enjoy, my time, in high school or college or anything like that. But I just know that kind of like how I grew up and how I would want for my kids to be completely different, and, have that nice little mixture of a blend to make sure that happens too. Because I believe support is very important. Mm-hmm. And, support is extremely huge. And if you could give that to a kid, that can make the world of difference.
I can back you up on that one, my brother.
I'm interested, bro. So like, whenever you were on your first internship, what was it that made you like want to invest in the stock market? Was that something you talked about with your family? Was it like just something like that? Or
all right, so with investing, literally that's all me. Like, it wasn't me like consulting with someone. Like, this is just something that, it piqued my interest whenever. So the Toyota internship was my second kind of like internship. I was working at a aerospace company my first go around, but with the Toyota one, that's kind of like when I was kind of like exposed to like coworkers investing in a retirement plan and stuff like that. So, I'm looking at that, not really knowing what I'm doing, but I'm always about taking action. So once I did a little bit of research, looked at Vanguard, I think at the time, I don't know if that was true or maybe I just misread it, but it was like, to invest in this mutual fund, you need to buy in at 3K. So I saved up 3K and I purchased that Wellington fund. And from there, like, it wasn't like I did a massive amount of research. I kind of just probably looked like at the last 5 years. I saw it was like trending upwards. I was like, all right, bet, let me just go ahead and put the money in this. And then from there, I did a little bit more research and to get more invested in what I was doing. But in the beginning, it was more so just taking that action, taking that step to do so. Luckily for me, it was a mutual fund instead of one stock. So like with a mutual fund, it's more so of a slow growth, which is for the most part always going to go up. It could immediately, went down or whatever the case was. But investing with me, that's never really been a concern. Like the failure part of things, it's always how can I go about gaining and learning more. And that's part of the reason why, even not with just stocks, but real estate in general, I can say I've touched a lot of different factors in real estate because I'm always interested in seeing for myself how this all works. So yeah, I mean, with the internship, I want to say it's probably through coworkers, seeing them talk about retirement accounts and being interested in Googling Vanguard account and going from there.
But that's smart that you had that foresight to say, let me go see what they're actually talking about, man. Let me see what. Did you kind of hear about them taking hits, taking losses because of around that time, or were they kind of talking about, yo, I'm about to get in and make this bread?
Well, you know what? I honestly can't tell. So I don't. It's hard to tell because like I don't think I heard anything about losses or anything like that. But I do remember this from that time period. Whenever I, invested in that, around the same time, Netflix was doing the whole thing where they did the first price increase. And I don't know if y'all remember when Netflix did that first price increase, everyone went ballistic. Their stock dropped. Like, it got to a point where Netflix actually recanted their initial price increase and it went back to normal for a little bit. And so that would have been like the perfect time to actually get back into, Netflix. You obviously y'all see what the price is today, but yeah, like I specifically remember that happening around that time frame where Netflix had made that mistake of increasing those prices, and customers were not happy at all. Like, people were leaving, canceling their stuff, and shoot, even for me, I don't think maybe I was invested in Netflix, but or like used Netflix, but yeah, that was just crazy. But I don't think I never heard anything negative about investing in the stock market. I don't think that would have deterred me, but yeah.
So I kind of want to get into after your first year of working, you said you bought a property. What was that process like, buying your first property?
Yeah, so with buying my first property, man, like for me, I was in a 1-bedroom apartment at the time. I lived out in West Texas, so it's still fairly cheap out there, or at least this town I was in. And I was like, I know that I have enough money, or I know that I wanted to own stuff. And so I'm looking at different properties, didn't really know much. Like I literally went on Craigslist and like looked for properties. And that's how I found the house, from Craigslist. Looked at the property, dude said it was like recently renovated. So I was like, all right, cool. Reached out to him, went to look at the property. You know, it was very unique, had a like nice little rustic look to it. 2-bed, 1-bath house, had a storm cellar, you know, had an actual additional lot in the back as well. Like it was a nice little place, especially for, you know, someone like me. So, you know, initially he wanted, so just to talk numbers, he wanted the house for 65,000. You know, I was able to negotiate it down to 60,000, but to be honest, like me saying 60,000 wasn't because I knew something, that it wasn't because I knew how to run comps or anything like that. I was just like, 60 sounds like a good number. let's go with that. And so like we got down to 60. So I went with Bank of America to get the loan. You know, just through my parents, I've had a long relationship with Bank of America, and you know, I've always had good credit, and you know, I've always been good with saving my money, so there was never really an issue there. So whenever Bank of America ran the appraisal, they came back at 58.5, and so I was like, well, I'm not about to pay the difference from, you know, 60,000 to the 58.5. So I went back to the guy, told him that, and we ended up settling at a purchase price of 58.5. So that appraisal actually helped me out.
I love your story, my brother, for both investing and this first property, because I think it's some example that a lot of people can just learn from, in that you didn't have it all figured out. You ain't had everything, all the knowledge. Like I think a lot of times we get analysis paralysis. We stop ourselves from doing shit. And the only way you ever gonna get past it is by actually doing it. So I love that example, in that like you would have never known that house was worth less. You just was guessing.
I was guessing. I said 60 sounds like a good number. Let's go with this. They agreed to it. It was good. We would have been Gucci. We would have closed on that price, but the appraisal came back lower. Shoot, that helped me out even more. You know, obviously now since then I've become a lot more knowledgeable about what all was going on. But yeah, even then, so ended up at 58.5. Moved in, and like I said, 3 months later, I got a new job opportunity down these outskirts of Houston, and shoot, I knew I wasn't going to sell the house, but my manager at the time, you know, like I said, his wife was a property manager or a realtor, and I knew something about them should be able to help. She was like, well, I know this girl, she's about to start her own property management company. Maybe y'all can, you know, do whatever. She's a realtor as well. So we spoke. She said that, she said I'll be able to get $800 a month on that house. My mortgage was like $550 or something like that. So, you know, she gets the 10% off of that. And, you know, the cash flows is very, very small, but it's there. Is there. And so, and you're talking about a property that I had zero knowledge of how to actually structure a deal. So, you know, I would bought it better or whatever the case was. So, you know, I was all right, cool. And, you know, this was in 2014. I haven't been back since. And I still have that property, still cash flowing, still chugging along, and haven't had any vacancy issues. If any major stuff that happened, like roof problems or anything like that, insurance is taking care of it. So like that one property has been a fairly good investment. You know, it hasn't appreciated much just because the area doesn't appreciate much over there. But the cool thing about it is, like, for example, now I buy for cash flow. So if appreciation happens, that's just the cherry on top. The cash flow is the most important thing anyways. So yeah, it's been six years now, and still chugging along on that first property. I still haven't been back to see. I need to go just check it out and see if I can get some other stuff around there. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, man, go see your roots, man. See what started it all. So what was that next deal like? After you purchased that property, was this like, okay, I think real estate is really where I want to focus? Is that kind of what happened?
No, so you know what was crazy? And I came to this realization the other day. I actually tried to get into wholesaling, but I didn't know that's what I was doing back when I was living out in West Texas. Because I never actually closed on a deal, but I spoke to a few people trying to get their house on a contract, but I didn't really understand the concept of if I get this house on a contract, how the hell I'm gonna get the money to get it sold? But the people, like I found some people on YouTube that I joined their academy or whatever the case was, like, oh, we'll take care of that. And now that I'm knowledgeable now, like I see what was happening, but I was like, dang, but like wholesaling, that honestly, that thing really isn't for me, because I really don't like talking to people like that. I just like kind of like being on the back end of being that buyer and just trying to make some things shake on the investment side of things. But yeah, so with real estate, like I said, my biggest thing is trying to own as much stuff as I can, control as much stuff as I can. So whenever I moved down to the outskirts of Houston, I ended up buying a house out here. And with this time, I bought it with the intention of, if I had to move, I know I'll be able to rent it out, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
I was in my head, it's like, if I have to move, because the thing, a lot of people kind of like have this myth in their head that if they buy a house, they're stuck. You can't move. It's like, well, if you buy correctly, you can move wherever the hell you want. The problem is, a lot of people want to buy their forever home real early. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, you buy your forever home, it's not going to make sense number wise to get normal rents. Mm-hmm. Nowadays with Airbnb, it's a little bit more possible, but especially back then, it's like, if you buy, you got to buy and make sure that your rent will, at the very bare minimum, cover your mortgage and some of the other things that you'll be able to take care of. So I bought in the suburbs down here in Houston, and still have that property too. And then after that, I got into my first rehab project, and that story is crazy. So like I said, I used to work at a refinery, right? Every morning I'm driving down to the refinery. I see this old ass motel ran down. Every morning I'm driving past it. I'm thinking to myself, like, man, if anybody would be able to get this thing and fix it up, like, they'll make a shit ton of money, because this proximity of where that motel was to the refinery, you're 1-2 minutes away from it. So I'm driving past it. It's like, fuck it, let me find out who this person is. And I was there. I don't know how I found out who it was. I think I was able to find it out through some of my connections with real estate. But I found out that person. I searched him on LinkedIn. Well, I think I was trying to see him on Facebook, but I found him on LinkedIn. Looked at his page. I saw that he graduated, got his MBA from UTSA. I was like, boom, this is my way in to have that conversation with him. So I reached out to him DM'd him on LinkedIn, and he reached out. Obviously I brought up the whole Roadrunner, like that's our mascot, Roadrunner. And he was like, yeah, man, no one's try to contact me about selling a property, but I'm willing to talk, blah blah blah. So we chop it up about the property. Come to find out, the city had rezoned that particular property. So if he were to sell it, you can only build like an industrial kind of like warehouse or something on that lot. So that wasn't going to work, but that was owned by his dad, who had a crazy amount of properties around there. So he inherited a few properties that was in that location, but he lived in Colorado Springs. So he ain't local, you know what I mean?
You don't want to deal with it.
So he has a couple properties out here. And then so he had one more that was close to the refinery, and he was like, I was thinking about rehabbing it, but we were in the process of rehabbing the other one. But I don't know. We'll try to talk it out. So, after some negotiations, I ended up buying one of these houses that needed to be rehabbed from. And like I said, it was down the street from where I work. So it was like literally a great opportunity. And I knew once fixed up that the place was perfect for rentals. Mm-hmm. And so I knew the numbers would work. And so this is where theory and reality comes into play. Mm-hmm. Because in theory, this is where, and it was crazy. It's so crazy how some of this stuff kind of like you kind of learn some of the verbiage. So the the BWR strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand, like not understand it, but I'd never really heard about it. But when I saw this property, that's what I wanted to do. So I didn't know the BWR strategy was a thing, but I knew that was the strategy I was about to use. So I bought the place. I was going to rehab the place. I was going to refinance the house once once I did the force appreciation, and then I was going to rent that thing out. But through that refinance, I'll be able to get the money that I put in back. Sure, I could go get another property. Now I'm in this property for free. You know what I mean? And now it's paying me for whenever, until I decide to sell the house. So went into it with that, and it was crazy because like I said, it was my first rehab project, and it was going real smooth. First couple of months, real smooth. But the issue was I was paying the contractor just in draws. It didn't matter what work was done, and that was my first mistake. Because it was crazy. I actually reached out to Petway Estates. Petway Estates. I reached out to him, and I was like, "Yo, this is back when they was kind of like giving their toolbox stuff for free." So, I was able to get some of the information as far as like contracts and stuff goes. And I was like, "Oh, I got it." And I saw the contract. I was like, "Man, everything's going smooth right now. I'm gonna just do it on the next property." And I'm telling you, like maybe a week or two later, I paid out the third draw. All of a sudden, my contractor goes ghost. Like no calls, text. If he'll be like, "Oh, my subcontractor got hurt." He'll be back like in a couple of days. Wouldn't answer calls. Starts going ghost, and I'm like, because I found him through one of these Facebook marketplace or Facebook groups, real estate Facebook groups. So I'm typing out, anybody work with this guy? Then that's when he finally reached back out to me, because he wanted me to delete that post and all that. He started talking about, my subcontractor screwed me over and this and that. I was like, man, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm the one that paid you to do the work.
And you just ran off of my damn money.
And you ran off of my money. So, he took, so I probably paid him around like $30K worth of work. He probably did about half that, to be honest. Yeah. So like, man, I'm scrambling now to, save up a little money to finish up the job. So I had to use a one-man band pretty much to fix all the interior, because he did the original contractor did all the outside work, but the interior still needed a good amount of work done. So I ended up like having to hire this guy to, I ended up purchasing the material. He'll go in and, in a sense, fix it up. So it took a while to do that, but I learned how much material costs.
Yeah.
That whole process was interesting itself, because like even then, like for example, I bought laminate flooring. Man, right before this dude was about to put that thing in, got hit. Someone stole all the damn flooring. So I had to go back out, get do it. What I'm saying? So I've learned.
This first rehab was hell.
So I learned so much stuff from this rehab, but it allows me to kind of like learn what to do, like kind of like going forward in the future, right? So at the time, like I was frustrated, but I knew that this would tell a great story in the future, and now here's the future. You know what I mean? So so I was able to finally finish out the property, and one of the things, because with the BWR strategy, for most lenders, your loan has to be seasoned 6 months before they actually do the refinance. So for me, I would have finished it in like 3 months. Technically, I still would have to wait 3 months before I could do the refinance. You know what I mean? And so that kind of played out in my favor, because I ended up finishing it around that 6 month time frame. But the problem was, even though I did do the refinance, I was still kind of out money because of what happened. I had 35 to put in for the rehab stuff, but now I'm all in like 50. So, I instead of 35, it was closer to 50 that I had to put in for rehab. So those numbers kind of messed up, but I ended up suing them, and I got like liens on his house and stuff right now. So if he ever tries to sell, I'll get my money back some way, somehow, or through that sell for sure. But I just learned so much from that project. But the thing about it all, even with all this headache, right? And even through all this, like there was never a doubt in my mind, like, oh, I'm quitting real estate. I'm done with this. like I said, it was just a part of the process. But yeah, through it all, like I learned so much, and I learned that real estate can be forgiving, because through all of this stuff, I'm still getting cash flow from the house to this day. I still get cash flow from the house to this day. And so in a sense, I can, wait for it to appreciate, to get to a point where I can recoup most of my money. But in the meantime, you know what I'm saying? At least I'm getting some money back.
Hey, that's smart though, and that's like beautiful. It's all a part of the process. And like you said, you didn't get bitter about it. You weren't frustrated. You ain't let that shit defeat you. You was just like, nah, this part of the process. I'm gonna keep on taking my L's. I'm gonna keep on rolling with it. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of get messed up, is they say they want to go through the process, but whenever they're really truly in it, they don't understand, like, this shit gonna get hard. Like, it's going to get tough. It's going to really challenge you and see what you made of.
It really is, because I know a lot of people that, for example, I have a buddy. He tried to do rental properties. I think it was in San Antonio. He had one bad experience. He said he'll never touch another house again.
Damn,
He was done with it. And I was like, at this point, I don't think I had a bad experience just yet, but I was just like, man, that's crazy. I can see that if your very first experience with the investing is a horrible tenant, I could kind of understand, that could get frustrated real quick, especially if you didn't have a property manager and you're the property manager, because a lot of people don't want to deal with other people, but then a lot of people want to try to save money, which kind of like screws them over. So it's like, if you can kind of like remove yourself as much as you can from the business in a sense, but have the systems in place, you can always make it work.
Do you currently still use property managers?
Yeah. So for the houses that I have here in Houston, I still do it. I still self-manage right now. But the ones that are out of the city or out of state, I do use property managers. Once I get a little bit bigger, then I'll use the private managers here in Houston. But for right now, I'm still self-managing those.
Gotcha.
It's manageable right now.
So my brother, through that first experience with the rehab, that was your second property. I kind of want to, like, that was your third? I'm sorry, your third. So that was your third property. I kind of want to, like, see what were some of the things that, like, you learned that you implemented afterward, like some of the different strategies that you put in to avoid having to repeat those same mistakes, like going over budget, dealing with these people stealing your shit, stuff like that.
So it's actually crazy, because I'm in the process right now of building a house here in the hood.
Construction?
Huh?
New construction?
It started off as a rehab, but yeah, it's pretty much a new construction. It's pretty much a new construction. But yeah, so with it, I still, because with real estate, you're still going to get hit from time to time. Like, I had electrical wiring got taken out of the house twice after we just got it inspected, about to put the sheetrock up, boom, got hit. About to put the electrical, they rewired it again. I want to say, because I was out of town, they ended up getting hit in the house again. And so, like, what you can do is, like, for example, in situations like that, when there's certain types of tasks that's going on, or you're in an area that it's high likely of theft with stuff like wiring, just during certain time frames of when work is going on, hire someone to be out there during midnight. You know what I mean? Have your neighbors kind of like keep a lookout. So you want to kind of like be friends with people that are around there, so you have more eyes on the ground if you can be out there. Another thing that you can do, and probably what I'll probably end up doing in the future, is, like, for example, I have one of my guys, Jamil. He has like some of these kind of like automation system that runs without power or Wi-Fi, but you can still get notified too. So it's an investment where it's like $3,000, but that's an investment where it'll save you more than $3,000 or whatever is about to get destroyed or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? So it's like, just stuff like that. On the back end, just kind of like having some of the contracts in place. Don't pay for work until it gets done. I know it's kind of hard, especially in certain bigger areas where you have to give a little bit of money up front, which is fine. Just don't go crazy where, you just, like I did my very first time, just give them all this money, even though work wasn't done just yet. And boom, now all of a sudden the contract is gone and you're scrambling, trying to make something shake, because I got fortunate that I was able to scramble up the money. Some people, they can't, and they got to sell the house as is, and then they're taking a big L. You know what I mean? So, just do as much as you can to mitigate the risk. And even if it feels like it's expensive, but it's just things that need to be done so that you can protect your investment.
I kind of want to hop into the Blackseed Group. Mm-hmm. How did that come about?
Yeah, so Blackseed came about in 2017, and it started with me realizing, I think I was like 27 at the time. I was realizing that, a lot of people my age, they weren't investing in anything. Stock market. I'm like, stock market is so easy to invest. You just put your money in there. Shoot, you ain't even got to sell it. Just keep putting money in there and holding. Even if it falls, it's gonna go back up. Like, this is a hold, you know what I mean? Even if you invested in things that you use, just do that. But so like no one was like, not no one, but a lot of people weren't. And so I kind of like had made a post on Instagram. I was like, yo, if you're interested in learning how to invest in the stock market, I'm doing like one-on-one consultations. Like, we'll meet up at like a Starbucks or something like that in Houston. And it'll be good. Like I probably had like 10, 15 people kind of like reach out, and we did the thing. So I kind of like explain how the stock market works. Say, hey, yo, these are these brokerages. You can check them out. And this is before I think Robinhood really like started popping. And so I will do that. But the thing was, even after all of that, even it being a good meeting, sometimes they didn't open up that brokerage account.
Yeah.
It sounded good, but they ain't close. So I was like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so that's where I was like, all right, what's one way that can force people to invest? And I can do it as well and still have my skin in the game. And that's where I started the investment club. Mm-hmm. Investment club, we're all putting in $50, $100, $150 a month into this pot, and we're investing. And so now what's happening is people that never knew how to invest before, now they have a brokerage account. Now they're investing with someone who's invested before. Mm-hmm. I ain't trying to say, I'm like Warren Buffett, but like I know what I'm doing at the very bare minimum, you know what I mean? So now I had it set up to where, I had like a PowerPoint presentation / it was called a voice thread. So like if you were completely brand new to investing, then I kind of gave you like a stock market 101, what's the terminology, how do you read a stock chart, things of that nature. And that was part of the things that you got once you joined my group. And so we did that. And like I said, it kind of like one of the cool things that I find, I guess, comfort in knowing is that, some of these people, like I said, they never invested before. But once they join the group, after a couple months, they open up their own brokerage account with like Robinhood or something. Mm-hmm. Now, alongside with a group, they invested by themselves. I, in a sense, just helped change their trajectory, their family trajectory, because now they learn how to invest. You know what I mean? They didn't have the knowledge. They didn't have the,
They were scared at first.
Yeah, they're scared, but now they see that, okay, this can happen. Boom. Now they making thousands a day. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm over here helping people like change that trajectory for their family. And so that was really, really, really a big blessing, at least that I felt like with starting the investment club. So, we were doing that for about 2 years. And man, like we had to ended up shutting down the club just because of COVID. The platform we were using, it was called Volio. Their U.S. operations, I guess the investors, whenever COVID happened, they're like, we don't know what's about to happen. I guess they stopped funding it or whatever, so they had to shut down. And it was the worst time because this is right before Tesla boomed. And we had a good amount of shares in Tesla too. We made good money with Tesla, but like this was right before it went like.
It went stupid during the pandemic.
And then so we pretty much hit we were just at the 6-figure mark at that point before we disbanded. But, you know, overall, like, I could say that, you know, if you invested in me, you made money. We ended up closing the group down at a 46.6% return. You know, can't really complain about that. You know,
46.6% in 2.5 years. Most people ain't getting that investing by themselves. And I'm glad you brought this up, is that investing as a team. You mentioned the platform, Vallejo. I was going to ask you, like, for somebody that's interested in starting an investment club, how can you structure that out, like, legally? Like, how do you get people to, you know, pool money together, and, like, I guess have a entity set up behind that?
Yeah, so that's what I miss about Vallejo, because they made that thing extremely easy. Like, to be in a sense of fund manager, they made it simple. Like, because now you have to do in a sense everything manually. You know what I mean? Like, if someone's trying to open a brokerage account, now you have to sign up a brand new account. You have to fill out all this information, and then you got to link them up with a bank account. To, you know, because now you have to open up a separate bank account for all the funds. And now with that, because maybe not everybody's putting in the same amount, now you have to see how much, you know, this person put 50, this person has like a 50. You have to deal with all those numbers. Like with Vallejo, they had that thing down packed. I ain't got to worry about it. So all you had to do was log into your account. You saw how much you put in. You saw how much the investment in now. You saw the total group's portfolio, and you were good. Like, it was amazing. So, like, if someone had to leave, for example, you knew how much money you was about to take out. You know what I mean? And so now, like, a lot of that is very manual. Now you have to, in a sense, kind of like get form an entity, maybe an LLC or whatever, open up a brokerage account with like someone like TD Ameritrade or Scottrade or someone like that. Open up the bank accounts, and just kind of it is, and is 100% doable. It's a lot more work, a lot of labor, and just kind of like, in a sense, you might have to, because like the thing for me, and this is one of the reasons why I ended up shutting the thing down, I was doing this for free. I was doing it like all that money you took back out. I didn't
management fees.
I didn't know management. I didn't do nothing. This was all. I'll say this is my pro bono work for those fans. So yeah, I wasn't going to make my job even worse, not getting paid for that. Thanks. So I was just like, let me go ahead, and we had a great percent return. Let me divest, give everybody their money back. In the future, if something like this happens again, and I'll bring it back. Obviously, I'll change a lot of stuff about how I did it, but yeah, it's just something that I'm not going to stress myself out about it for free.
I also wanted to get into the Airbnb. I've seen that you also bought an Airbnb in the Houston area. How did that come about?
So this is what I talk about when I say I touched a lot of things when it comes to Airbnb, or it comes to real estate. So I did Airbnb back in like 2015 on one of the houses that I bought out in the suburbs. And what will happen is I would be in Houston in the city during the weekend. So I'll just rent out my spot during the weekend, and it's kind of closer. So the people that come in, the obviously will be full. So they kind of come up to where I'm at, and I'll rent it out. And pretty much every weekend it was booked. So that's kind of how I got introduced to Airbnb. So I knew it worked. But since then, and then I ended up stopping for a while. And then this year I ended up getting back into it just as COVID started. Literally the worst time to do that. But I didn't buy the house. This is where I learned about rental arbitrage. And so I was able to lease out a townhouse from a guy. Let him know. I let him know that it was for, well, I didn't say Airbnb outright, but that it was kind of like corporate leasing and stuff like that. So he knew that I wasn't going, like I kind of had a structure where, business people will come in for trips, maybe for like a week at a time, but this place will always get clean, this and that. And he was fine with it. As long as he was getting paid, he was good. So, I mean, that's one of the things you have to do. You have to let the people know up front, because if they don't want you to know and they find out, you're going to be screwed. I saw so many people, like, they do this with apartments, and the apartment find out, and then the apartment says, nah, y'all got to get out, and you owe the whole year's rent. I've seen it happen, so be truthful about it. If they don't want to do it, then just find someone gonna let you do it. You know what I mean? Just got to do it.
Somebody want that money. Because at the end of the day, like you said, as long as they getting their money at the end of the day, shit, it's just like renting.
Right. So I did what's called rental arbitrage. I leased out the property, and I knew that the money I'll make with Airbnb will be enough to cover the property, or cover the lease for the month, plus all the other expenses. And so it was crazy because like I started it up again, and man, I learned, man, Airbnb, like in the beginning when I was relearning everything again, I almost wanted to quit because like that first couple of months, these guests were not being either lying on their profile, coming in, having parties, smoking weed, like leaving weed stuff everywhere, the whole house smelling like weed, like having these full blown out parties. This is a small little gated community. You can't be having all this stuff going around, so the neighbors are pissed off, and I can't blame them, but it's not, and my whole intent isn't to have people having a party. So, things started happening where I was like, all right, let me get more, strict with who I let come in. Because in the beginning, it was just like people weren't booking like weeks out in advance. Like they'll probably book like a day or two before. So I'm like, man, I need to get some money this week. And so I'll accept the booking. But this is like I said, I was doing it like in the beginning. I'm thinking of back in 2015 when people were actually being truthful on this stuff. I didn't have any of these issues on my old property. Well, when I started it again, now these people upgraded, evolved. They were like, I had people say, oh, we're here for a couples getaway. We just need something slight. Man, I look at the Ring camera. These niggas having a full blown party. I'd have been like, like you had to. So you ended up getting the cops involved and things of that nature. So it was a struggle, but as of a couple months ago, I was able to kind of rally that back and in a sense kind of like be a little more strict. So the quality of guests that were coming in got a lot better. And with that, I was able to get my super host status back because I had it whenever I did it back in 2015, but now I was able to get it back. So now my booking is considered a little bit higher ratings, a little bit more visible, and the price that you charge it can be a little bit more as well. So it's been good so far. I had signed a 2-year lease, so we're coming up, or I guess March will be the end of the first year, but kind of like going forward with that. And it's in a great area in Houston too. So once outside open up, I mean, I know Houston ain't really like shut down like that, but like once open up where like events and stuff start happening again, that's when those prices can really surge.
And even still with it, like through COVID and like all this craziness, has the Airbnb still been able to mostly maintain itself and like cover for the? So that goes to show like even more that's just still even a viable option during a pandemic.
Yeah. So with Airbnb, like the first couple months, Airbnb definitely took a hit. But one of the things that I did was I listed on Airbnb, I listed it on VRBO, I listed it on Booking.com. So I had it on these other places, and so I was able to get people from it enough to cover what I needed to get covered. Unfortunately, it came with some of these bad guests, but the first couple of months I was able to withstand that, and then and even through it all, I want to say one of my better months came in like I want to say September, October. Those were really good months for me. So yeah, even with like I said, especially like I said with Houston, a lot of people their cities and states are shutting down, so they still want to go out, so they come down here. A lot of people, like for example, Chicago shut down. All of them, they came down here. You know what I mean?
Go to Houston to turn up.
So Houston, Airbnb at least here has been fine.
And I kind of want to get into you. You wrote a book. I want to talk about how did that come about and what exactly is in the book.
Yeah, so I wrote a book called 10 Reasons Why You're Living Senseless. Wrote that back in 2017 too. And pretty much it was the biggest thing was kind of like giving, I've always been a good saver, being able to, keep my money, not really spending on much stuff, but I know a lot of people don't. And my biggest thing was give 10 reasons why, where your money's going, and then just try to give them actionable tips of how they could do better. And the biggest thing is really like, you just got to sacrifice, even if it's temporarily. Sacrifice your friends, sacrifice, going out partying, sacrifice, even if, you might have to get roommates, you might have to go home, live with, and maybe that's not a good situation, but some things you got to sacrifice. You're someone that likes designer clothes, either don't do it, or go to certain places where they don't cost as much. You at least at the minimum getting that secondhand prices. You know what I mean? So yeah, and then one of the biggest things I like to put out in the book, and it was something that I learned myself, is what I call the money jar method, where you have maybe like 6 quote unquote jars, and these can be like 6 different bank accounts, right? And you kind of direct deposit your money into different accounts. So like one account could be specifically for bills, another account could be specifically for entertainment, another account be specifically for like your loans, education, long-term savings. And so have a percentage for how much money go into each one, and let that thing go. And if you're in a job that has direct deposit, now it's out of sight, out of mind, and it's automatically doing it. And now no more human nature for you to try to touch things and change this, and this is gonna happen. So I kind of introduce a lot of like I said, actionable stuff that people can use to actually really, really change that around, so that they can get to a point where they either start a business or start getting to a point where they can start investing. You know what I mean? So that's really the biggest thing, try to get more income.
Man, that piece about the budget on autopilot, that's something we love. We actually talk about in our book too, man. But like the 1%, had to pull it up real quick. Y'all get that. But yeah, no, like that idea is so simple, but it can save so many people whenever it comes to personal finance. It's like, just by like putting some percentages on your money, because like everybody think you got to have a bunch of money to do this shit.
Right.
Just putting percentages on it, looking at how you spending it, and allocating it in different buckets will save you so much of a mental headache. And that other piece, that setting them on auto pay, setting your bills on auto pay with that shit, your life become a whole lot less stressful. But also,
even if you start off with $50 a month, you blow $50 doing all like $50 a month, you ain't gonna die. You gonna find out what you could give up $50 a month. I don't care how poor you are. You could put away $50 a month. You know what I mean? You
could find a way. I know, like with me investing, it started off just as like Acorns, like a bullshit ass app, like Acorns, putting $5 a week away. Like anybody can do that. Anybody. Right. But we did kind of pass over something with Blackseed that I want to go back to, bro. And it was that after y'all, I'm not sure if it was after or it was still during, while the fund was the stock club was open, you decided to take those same principles and apply them to real estate too. So Can we talk about that group and how that one kind of works?
Yeah. So whenever I did that, I waited, I was like, all right, this is working for the stock club. Let me try this with real estate. And obviously real estate is more so my jam in a sense. So kind of did the same situation, looking to purchase a property, would like to have people put their money in, and we'll own a piece of property. You get a small percentage. And what happens is I was able to get a certain amount of money. And, once again, people that never would have been able to buy their own property, now they're having a equity share, a true equity share in a home. I was able to find a house out in Memphis through my boy Brandon Jones. And we bought the property straight up out cash. It was already renovated, already had a tenant inside, and it was Section 8. So you're getting guaranteed money from the government. You know what I mean? Or you really didn't have to do much work to the home. And shoot, like if everything was going well, like in the 4-year time frame, the house is paid off, but you recoup your initial investment of the home, and you're scot-free going forward. You know what I mean? So we ended up doing that. We purchased that home about April of last year, and still going strong with that house. One of the things I wanted to do, like once that happened, because the minimum investment that was like $2,500, And the one thing that I did learn doing things with like the investment club and even this one, I was like, I got to stop doing small stuff. If I'm going to do a headache, I need to do it on a much bigger scale. So that's when I ended up doing the Blackseed Revitalization Fund, where that minimum was $20,000, and with that is the intent is to raise like $5 million, and the intent is literally invest in the inner city neighborhoods of Memphis and Houston. Buy these homes for cheap, fix them up, put them on Section 8, and then now you're not forcing out people that are in that community. It gives them a chance to have be a little bit profitable where they're living. They might be on a Section 8, but if they're a little bit more profitable about where they're at, they can, get better jobs and things of that nature. Just kind of like slowly marking the change of what's going on around there. But at the minimum time, you ain't pushing them out. And that's one of the biggest things I wanted to, say that, yeah. And then on top of that, even if it wasn't Section 8, right? Like the type of homes that, we would be getting in, they're so low that it's recession proof. Like the investment is there. The only thing with it is like say if you were an investor, you're not seeing your money immediately because we are rehabbing a lot of these homes. You know what I mean? So on a back end is really where, you really see the investment, because for one, the houses for the most part will be owned outright. And then things like appreciation will most likely happen. But even with that, in the meantime, just because this was going to be like between a 5 to 8 year time frame, you're collecting all this cash flow that's coming in. And then when you finally sell, boom. So that because with the Blackseed Revitalization Fund, it was a 6% preferred return annually. And then, 70-30 split between 70% of the profit if we do sell a house or whatever it was, it will go to the investors, and 30% will go to me and my management team. And from there, like a lot of people, they hear that 6%, like, I can make that, this and that. But it's like, that's just a small piece. You're not thinking about the back end where once we sell some of these properties, that 6% jumps to honestly 28-30%. Possibly
now you're getting cashed out on your equity.
Exactly. So yeah, and so I started this thing kind of pretty much around COVID. So COVID kind of like took it back, kind of ruined that. But 2021, I tried to get back out there, kind of like pitch it again, and see if I get some investors. Once I'm able to raise 100K, I can start investing in homes. And I think once that starts happening, people see how this is really operating, and more investments start coming in.
I love it, man. And I kind of want to ask, like with that initial, when you was just taking people for $2,500, were you dealing with a lot of people who didn't have an understanding of equity? Like, so whenever it came to the part, because I'm just thinking about it, it's a house. If you got a few, like 10 people put up $2,500, the cash flow each month from that is almost negligible for each individual.
Right.
But like, how did you walk them through that process, bro?
Yeah. So the thing is, because it was such a low amount of money, that I let them know up front, like, don't expect a big dividend. You know what I mean? Like, even with this, like once we bought the house, I haven't paid out any dividends because we're allowing the reserves, in a sense, to build back up. And the thing is, we're just like, once these reserves build back up, shoot, if we see another property, we might just put in and use that and then buy another property. That way, the spreads start getting a little bit bigger. But you're right, like one house splitting it between like 9 and 10 people, the numbers ain't really there. But what you're doing is, for me, it's always about the habit and the mindset. Half of those people never invested in the house before. Now they have equity and they can say that they have a house. You know what I mean? So it's more so of this is what I'm doing versus this is the best investment for the best investment ever kind of thing. And like I said, that's why I was like, all right, at a smaller scale, it doesn't really make sense to keep doing like that. But if I could get 10 people at 20,000, that changes the game a lot. And I can leverage that money, in a bigger way. So,
the last thing I want to get into is you have a clothing brand for sports clothing brand, and also you just got into supplements. How did that come about, and How's that going for you?
My man got people feeling limitless.
Yeah. So, yeah, with Phenyx, man, Phenyx, I actually started that in 2018. And it just kind of like started with, everybody's rocking Adidas, Nike, Puma, all this other stuff. Like, man, I want to rock my own stuff. You can tell now I'm very big on ownership. So, I wanted to have my own thing, and started that whole process. Sourced a lot of my material and made sure it was very high quality. And one of the things I learned was it really doesn't matter how high quality product that you have if people aren't buying it. So you need to kind of like get it out in front of people, make sure like there's a buzz going on about it. You have the right influencers pushing it. One of the mistakes I did earlier on was I bulk ordered a crazy amount of stuff. So I had joggers, I had leggings, I had sports bras, I had all this stuff, but it was just sitting here. So I'm thinking I was about to sell this. Is a thing out like this, move on. Like, nah, it wasn't like I was an influencer to be pushing it on a massive scale like that. So for the longest, it took me a while to sell out, sell the clothing from the bulk order. And so what I learned is, and I kind of like implemented it whenever I started my beard care line, is start with one product. Start with one product, make sure that does well, and then you can start branching out from there, because you don't want to waste too much money if it's not going to work that way. So all that to find out, apparel industry in a sense is already hard as it is. It's already hard as it is. So I'm chugging along. And then last month, so when it comes to ads, I really didn't know too much about it. I tried it, didn't really work out. I've hired an ads person, or for Phenyx, didn't really work out. But what kind of changed for me was with my Zion, the beard care brand. We hired this guy to run Facebook ads, and the ads were converting. It wasn't converting at a crazy scale, but they were converting. So I was like, okay, finally something that makes sense. And it was for our gummies. Yeah, these gummies, right? These are our best selling products for Zion. And for whatever reason, some random ad of me doing this literally, and with me having like the gummies in my hand, was doing fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, this is working for gummies with supplements, and their ads are running. So I was like, man, I think I could do this with supplement with Phenyx, like have these supplements here, these multivitamins, turmeric and all this other stuff. It's like, I think I can sell it. So I had limitless focus, and I just started literally. I want to say I launched it late November, like maybe November 20th or so, around like Black Friday timeframe. And that has been a game changer, bro. Game changer. Like, the right people on, Twitter have pushed it, trusted voices in the community. And from there, like a lot of people started buying it. And you know what it is, like, once people start seeing it, like, what's going on? Let me try this out. Everybody has that hype, and a lot of sales started coming through, and then people are having positive reviews, especially for the limitless focus. Positive reviews are coming in, and from there, once the reviews start coming in, that helps me out, and so that allows me, all this traffic coming in. Now all the Facebook ads are getting retargeted to them. To the people who maybe didn't buy before, but a week later they might buy it because people are still talking about it on the timeline, and they're seeing it when they're scrolling through social media. So yeah,
and once they actually go to the page, they get to see people left reviews and
right.
Like, hey man, I'm fucking with this.
Right. And once that happened, man, like I said, I have not experienced this before, but if I could have a few more months like this, it'll be a very, very, very big game changer. So I'm actually so limitless focus is definitely my best selling product through Phenyx so far. I honestly think so. I'm about to come out next week with apple cider vinegar gummies, and I think that will give Limitless a run from his money from like the outer frame of just like the Twitter network and stuff, because it was crazy, because I've seen this other brand, it's actually called Goalie, and I'm like, apple cider vinegar gummies. That's literally the only product, and they're selling a shit ton of it. So I'm looking at their page, market research, right?
Hey, man.
Seeing what's going on with them. Man, I saw they was on the Ellen DeGeneres show. I was like, oh yeah, this
It's a whole wave.
it's a whole. So like, once you get on the show, you're golden. And so they, obviously the sales have been running there from there. And so now they've been pushing through affiliates. So they have people pushing it for them. Obviously they have their bigger ambassadors kind of like pushing it too. And so I was like, well, shoot, let me implement what they're doing. So I just launched my own affiliate program last week. So hope to see that start kind of like coming in soon. A lot of, especially right now, USPS has been tripping.
Flaky, man. Even flaky, dog.
So, like I said, a lot of orders have been coming in late. I had to resend out orders, and customer service is big for me. So, even if USPS either say that they delivered it and, the people say they didn't, or, because they either didn't deliver it or they delivered it at the wrong mailbox, or just have it saying late, So I was like, well, I want you to try this product. Obviously, you're seeing what, the hype about it on the timeline. Let me go ahead and, send you out a new bottle. I expect to see another surge of kind of like people posting the reviews about it here in these next couple of weeks. So now that I have, these new products I'm coming out with, the apple cider vinegar gummies, the turmeric gummies, emergency support pills, and the ashwagandha, I think I have a nice little foundation to kind of like go forward in 2021 and really, take Phenyx to a new level. So we'll see how it goes. I'm really hopeful for it. This 1 month in the supplement game has been fantastic. I just hope I can continue to push it hard, because right now it's been a lot of word of mouth, a lot of stuff through brand ambassadorship. But I think if 8 ads, that can definitely triple the rate of return. So I'm trying to see the best way to get around that.
Man, this supplement game is crazy, bro. I just gotta ask, like, where did you go to learn about this shit? Like, how you learn about these supplements? Is there like a marketplace for this, or like what is it?
So with the supplements, man. So I'm a big guy, but I don't take them too much. You know what I mean? But I'll sample them out and make sure, like, the quality of the stuff is good. Because, like, for me, it's all about, getting the quality good enough for people to use it and make sure that it works. Obviously, some of the stuff, like for the limiters, right? Some people it's not going to work for, but for the most part, people are going to enjoy the product. So it's kind of like finding some people that would be able to manufacture the product. If you're trying to do a custom formula, seeing what they do, custom formulas obviously get expensive and stuff like that. But, some people may already have some of this stuff already made, and you could do what will be considered like white labeling. And you as long as the product is good, go ahead, slap your label on it and market it as you know how. And, that's what a lot of these bigger companies are doing anyway. So might as well do the same thing.
Hey, I love it, man. I love it, my brother. You putting people on game with this. I never would have thought like selling supplements is such a natural extension to a fitness brand.
Right.
Like it's vertical integration. I love it.
The thing is, like, cause I like I said, the apparel game that's been slow, and with apparel, like you might buy 1 or 2 items, but you don't really need it until like a year later, or something happens, right? With the supplements, that's something that every 2 months, 3 months they need to re-up. So now you get in more orders than you will with apparel. And I still want to push the apparel. I'm still trying to be like Gymshark. I still, like I said, my stuff is good quality stuff. And I still want to push that. But until I get to the point where, I have the funds to kind of like push that and, get the right type of ambassador to be a part of it, where if I say, hey, Phenyx is about to drop a line of this stuff and it sells out, whatever the case is, I'm gonna keep working to get to that point. But in the meantime, I'm just, get the supplements, reinvest the profits, and make it shake. Because the thing is, now that the supplements are working, they could see what kind of apparel that I have, and they'll buy some of the apparel. Still new eyes in that aspect. So
building brand loyalty. Hey man, I love it. I just love the whole idea of it, taking it, reinvesting it, and putting it back, building these businesses. Man, just Damn, man.
It's crazy because like for me, like I said, I've always been fairly good with money. So like whenever I did get the money, like I always hold on to it. I never go use it to try to buy something nice or some luxury product or whatever the case was. Like I always kind of like held on to it because even back with real estate, right? Like there will be down times at some point where like one of our properties, you know, I have because of COVID, I haven't had a tenant in it for a while. And luckily for me, the whole time when I was renting it out, I didn't touch the profits. So that's what I was using to pay the mortgage the whole time until I was able to finally get a tenant back into the property. You know what I mean? So it's like, I've never been one to like just waste the money. Like it literally most of the stuff just kind of like sits in the account until, you know, emergency happens or whatever the case is. And then, you know, one of these days, you know, it's going to be a big pop so where I can enjoy the money a little bit more. Because the thing is with me, like I said, I unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but I don't have that quote unquote stable income anymore that I used to have. Because I had many good jobs, but I never liked what I did. And so, you know, I'm 1 year into this entrepreneurship game full time. Like I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit and was doing it, but like full time doing this thing and not having that consistent income has been a pain because, you know, like I said, with the house that I'm building right now, like that house should have been done, but I'm using my savings to pay for that. And I ain't even living in it. And the whole point of that house, that house was to allow me to live for free because what I'm building as an extension, I was going to put that thing on Airbnb and let that profits either allow me to live for free or very, 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 very cheap. So, but instead, I'm paying all this money in mortgage fees, all this money in storage fees. You know, I'm here. I pretty much fluctuate between my parents' house and my Airbnb when it's not booked this whole time until this house gets fixed. But it's like, luckily for me, I've always been that person to save because if I didn't,
it would be a completely different situation right now. Hey, that's another major gem for anybody getting involved in entrepreneurship because I feel like too many times we want to just jump in and not have that like them reserves. If you're gonna go in it full time, you're gonna need them reserves on because look.
Because the thing is this, like I mentioned it before, like I feel like I'm a different breed. Like for a lot of people, if you like your 9 to 5, you let that continue to invest in all this stuff. You need a side hustle for sure. You need to have some kind of thing on the side. But if you love your 9 to 5, keep that thing as long as you can. For me, I never liked working like that. So I had to get out. There was always that burning thing inside of me, even when I would switch jobs, like this ain't for you long term. And it got really, really bad these past couple of years. So I was like, for me, I had to get out, because my ideal situation was the stuff that I've been doing on the side that makes about as much money as I was making at my job, and then I'll be fine to go. But it didn't happen that way. I just like I said, the money wasn't there as I would have liked, and then all of a sudden, you know, I got kind of like jumped out or laid off through the other job. So kind of like sparked it. But like for me, it is what it is. It is what I have to do. You know, my mom sometimes like, hey, you want to get a job? This is like, nah. I have a good feeling that something is about to change for me really, really soon. And I just gotta continue to push through this journey deal.
Trust the process, my brother.
I have to, because like for me, the biggest thing is like I have to have this freedom, because once this thing pops, like I believe it will, like there's no amount of money I would have been making at 9 to 5 that's about to, you know, generate what I've done so far. You know what I mean? So, you know, I have the networks. I've laid the foundations. I've made the investments. You know, 2021, that's where the money resides. That's what he said, right?
The money resides. I love it. We're going to have my brother back come and tell us whenever he reaping the fruits of the groundwork that you lay. I love this, man. But, okay, so, you know, man, we're going to pivot to the last segment of the show, my brother. So we're going to ask you, man, what's on your timeline? What's something you seen on social media, something you post, anybody else post that you just want to speak on, my brother?
Man, I almost want to look at, because, let's see. I mean, the most thing that kind of like popped into my head right now, someone was talking about purses, like Coach Purse and Michael Kors and stuff like that. And pretty much saying that that ain't real luxury and this and that. And it's like, first of all, if someone can afford it, and if they like that, allow them to be happy. Allow them to why are you shaming that? And you know how Twitter is when you post stupid stuff like that. They found the girl wearing a Coach purse earlier. So it's like, come on, you can't be hypocritical. But I kind of want to say that to say this, like, for example, for me, I like to wear Birkenstocks. People love to try to clown me for that, but it is what it is. Like, this is what I like to wear. It's comfortable. Like they need to go ahead and sponsor me. They need to send me some Birkenstocks. But for me, it's just like you have to allow people to be happy. Like you can't always want to like judge people or just because they ain't doing what you expect them to do, because it's not you. It's not gonna work for them. Like let people be happy. Let people be happy. And even one. Okay, actually no. Let's talk about this one. What was it? That guy sleep is for suckers. I mean, it's like he said that thing about I hope your job fires you this pandemic so you can start. I
think I see that.
So I actually know one of his good friends. He was like one of my like mentors, and when I seen that, I was like, I don't let things like that don't trigger me, but I kind of see what he was saying, and I knew what he was saying, but he said it for his target audience. But, unfortunately. It's all about exposure. It doesn't matter how the news comes about. It's that reaction. So everybody's talking about it. And so even though he was talking to his audience, people that it wasn't meant for, they get offended. They're talking about it. They're getting on him about it. But all in all, I feel like it was a good tactic for him because I'm sure his following went up. He got more clients to his, his program.
I know his group probably jumping. Yeah, somebody... It's crazy, like how you said, though. Like, I think that's a major message for anybody, too. Like, letting people be happy. You see that shit on social media. You see everybody on the internet. Like, everybody doing their own thing. We all living our own lives. Like, what he's saying, okay, I hope you get fired and you got to start a business. Obviously, that don't mean that's not for everybody. Not everybody's going to succeed in a business.
Right, absolutely.
But, like, if you see this shit, move the fuck on with your day. Like, it's not like it's going to impact you. It's not like your boss going to fire you because he read his post. Yeah, like, go get the fuck on somewhere.
It's crazy. I think, like I said, with him, it's one of those things where it's like people just like that shock value, right? And it works every time. It works every time. Unfortunately, or like I feel like I can't do it. I mean, I've kind of like got caught up in that stuff with like some of the tweets I've had in the past, but in general, I don't really like kind of like get involved with that. So, for me,
you done went viral on Twitter a couple times with a couple opinions. I've seen you.
it's Twitter can keep playing with me. They keep deleting my accounts, but
that's still going on, bro.
Huh?
They still taking you out the paint like that?
Yeah. So I mean, I had to. I'm on my, a lot of them ended up getting suspended, so I can't use the Twitter app for my personal account. I have to use like some massive IP address bullshit.
Somebody got a vendetta out against you, bro. They've been reporting you or something.
What it is, I honestly believe Twitter ain't got no black people that understand black vernacular, because there's no, like, the reasons why I've got suspended on Twitter doesn't make any sense. Just because I say, like, it's literally because of me talking with black vernacular is the reason why I got suspended. While you have these people telling you, I hope you kill yourself and all this other stuff, they're still fine. Me saying, I mean, I ain't gonna say it on here, but like me saying, black, stuff we would say that doesn't mean something like really a bad thing. They're gonna take you on the paint for that. So one day I'm gonna probably see Jack and
give him a piece of your mind.
Yeah, he's like, bro, you're gonna have to lock my account or something. But
hey. So, well, Madu, man, we appreciate you so much for coming on the podcast, my brother. This has been a great episode. I thank you for coming on and sharing your story with the people. Could you please tell them where they can find you on social media, even though they blocking you on Twitter and shit, how they can tap in with your products, your different brands, if they want to learn more about the Blackseed Fund, just let them know how they can get involved, bro.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm pretty much I have everything set up. So social media, Instagram at Money Madu, Twitter at Real Money Madu. With everything Blackseed, I have it under at Blackseed Group. So like if you want to buy like my book, it's on Amazon and other bookstores, but it's 10 Reasons Why You're Living Senseless. And that's what CENTSLES or LESS. And yeah, and then most of the stuff. So I just got a new website. So if you go to moneymadu.com, you'll literally be able to see everything that I'm able to provide to you as value. So I do obviously consultations. I have the book. I have a planner. I have a planner that I'm coming out with.
That's pressure.
I have a course. I have a rental property course. So if you're trying to you buy your first rental property, I have a course. I believe it's $97 right now. I have a certification program that I'm about to launch next week. So if you want to get level 1 certified through Blackseed, that'll be released out next week. So and then have if you want to learn how to build your own brand, I have a course for that, and you can find all of that at blackseeduniversity.com. Yeah, and then like for example, we did the Blackseed Summit this year, and in the middle of a panoramic, as Gunnar would like to say, and it was wildly successful. I can't even complain. Like that's probably one of the smoothest things I've ever been a part of. And the replay of that is available at blackseeduniversity.com. But I appreciate everybody that actually came out. We had over 70 people come to Houston for that. And back in August, and obviously we're going to do that again next year. But yeah, the stuff with that, blackseeduniversity.com, and yeah, pretty much all the stuff that you need from me, you can find it at either my personal site, which I just had fixed up like last week, moneymadu.com, or theblackseedgroup.com. That's where you can find most of my stuff.
Sure. Well, man, we appreciate you so much for coming on. Y'all make sure y'all tap in with my brother. He is giving out so much value. It's ridiculous. Man, once again, bro, thank you for coming on. Before we wrap this thing up, hop into a couple of house cleaning items. As always, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in week in and week out. Y'all continue to give us feedback. Let us know what y'all liking, what y'all not liking. We want to make sure we give y'all the best show possible. Y'all tap in with our book, Manage Your Money Like the 1%. A step-by-step guide to managing your money, getting your finances right. Also check out our course, Credit Fundamentals. We still got that out. That's been going pretty well, helping people understand the basics and the principles behind building and maintaining your credit so that you don't have to go do credit repair and get your shit sent off and all that. We gonna get you right. But Kelly, man, you got anything?
I do not. Keep rocking with us. Again, likes, comment, subscribe. Let us know exactly what you want to hear, who you want on the podcast. If you like it, if you dislike it, what do you like about it?
Donations. Y'all go ahead, click that link. We're going to start putting links in the bottom. Y'all get them donations. But with that said, this is BWR Renaissance signing out. Peace.
I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.